Good evening. Hope you all had a great weekend and a nice Monday. Today the market rose as tech gained and gold hit a new all-time high. The Dow gained a light 0.44%, while the S&P 500 gained a better 0.74%. But no index performed better than the Nasdaq, which gained 1.67%. The most notable news of the day is the GOP's coronavirus relief legislature. This will merely act as a starting point with talks with Democrats, as the bill would need to pass both chambers of Congress. Mitch McConnell said the proposed legislation would include relief for jobless Americans, another direct payment to individuals of up to $1,200, more Paycheck Protection Program small business loan funds, and liability protections for doctors and businesses, among other provisions. It has been indicated the party aims to set the enhanced insurance at 70% of a worker's previous wages and provide an additional $200 per week while states figure out how to implement the new policy. New coronavirus cases in hard-hit states such as Arizona, Florida, and Texas appear to be slowing down. Arizona experienced a 13% decrease in their 7-day average of coronavirus cases, and hospitalizations are down 14% compared to the previous week's 7-day average. Cases in Texas fell by an even larger 19% decline in their 7-day average. Florida's 7-day average is now flat compared to the previous week. Dr. Scott Gottlieb, former Food and Drug Administration Commissioner, said, quote, "On the whole, it looks like Arizona, Texas, and probably Florida at the very least, are starting to hit a plateau. Arizona looks like they're starting to come down the epidemic curve slowly. I think these are going to be extended plateaus. I think we're going to hang out at the level of infection that we're at right now." End quote. However, he did take a step back and said, quote, "Even as these states come down, other states look like they're heating up, and so they'll start to offset the gains we are making in the Sun Belt." End quote. Today, there's poor news for all the sport fans out there. Today it was announced that the MLB has canceled 2 games due to coronavirus-related issues. This comes after 7 players and 2 coaches for the Miami Marlins tested positive. To make matters worse, those players played in their game yesterday against the Phillies, potentially allowing the virus to be transmitted to them. The NBA and their well-known bubble has been very effective thus far, as they have yet to experience anything close to an outbreak. Gambling stocks such as DraftKings and Penn Gaming took a hit today on this news. Athletic clothing company Under Armour disclosed that it received a Wells notice from the SEC, which is related to their accounting treatment of sales during the third quarter of 2015 and fourth quarter of 2016. Note that a Wells notice doesn't necessarily mean the company or the executives violated the law. However, it does indicate the agency is considering an enforcement action. Shares fell during the pre-market, but then surged and ended the day up 2.7%. Today, the dollar reached a 2-year low, as the U.S. is struggling to take control of the coronavirus compared to other countries, leading many to think the U.S. economic recovery will occur later. The dollar is also reacting to the prospect of mounting U.S. deficits and ultra-low U.S. interest rates well into the future. Marc Chandler, chief market strategist at Bannockburn Global Forex, said, quote, "The move against the dollar is now broadening. Not only more countries like emerging markets currencies, but also more participants. Asset managers, speculators, and the other big group, judging from the skew in the option markets, is the hedge funds joining the dollar bearish party." End quote. Since the beginning of the month, the dollar is down 4.9% against the euro, 2.5% against the yen, 6.4% against the Swedish krona, and 4% against the New Zealand dollar. The dollar index, which measures the U.S. currency against a basket of currencies, is down 3.77% in the month of July. The sectors were pretty split today. Basic materials, consumer goods, and tech all gained more than 1.6%, while consumer services, healthcare, and industrials gained more than 0.8%. No one had a worse day than utilities, though, as the sector fell 1.6%. Morningstar data shows us a similar story, as growth outperformed every other basket of stocks by far. Core stocks were strong overall too, but value was pretty weak today. The best performer in the S&P 500 was Alexion Pharmaceuticals, as they gained 5.28%. Unfortunately, it is not clear as to why this move in the pharmaceutical company was made. Weyerhaeuser Company, which is a REIT that owns Timberland, followed up with a gain of 5.32%. This move comes after the price of timber has been climbing, and rumors saying that the company will announce improved outlook and dividend resumption. No one performed worse than Hasbro in the S&P 500, as shares lost 7.41% due to their earnings report this morning. We'll go over their earnings in just a bit. Cruise liners were hit hard today, but none were hit harder than Carnival Corporation. Shares fell 7.09%, but there was no singular piece of news that was responsible for this move. Getting into earnings, we'll start off with Hasbro, ticker symbol HAS, which is a company that produces toys and board games. This morning's earnings were not too bright, as they missed on both top and bottom line estimates. Non-GAAP EPS came in at a gain of 2 cents for the quarter, which missed estimates by a large 21 cents. Revenue fell 12.6% on a yearly basis, as the board game maker collected revenue of $860.28 million, which came in below estimates by a whole $126.23 million. To make matters worse, the company's adjusted operating margin came in a fair bit below what was expected. Their gaming business rose 11% to $137.03 million due to strong demand for Magic the Gathering and Monopoly. Their CEO said, quote, "We have a strong entertainment lineup for 2021, through internally developed as well as third-party entertainment. We'll also begin to see a greater benefit of synergies from the acquisition of E1 as we remain on track to deliver against our plan of $130 million in synergies by year-end 2022, end quote. Investors were not at all pleased with earnings, and hedge shares ended the day down 7.41%. Next up, we have Principal Financial, ticker symbol PFG, which is a global financial investment management and insurance company. Their earnings came in better than expected as the company beat non-GAAP EPS by 16 cents, as they recorded a gain of $1.46 per share for the quarter. Shares were in the red after their earnings announcement, but still remain fairly flat. Next up, we have Amkor Technology, ticker symbol AMKR, which is a semiconductor manufacturer. The company had very nice earnings, as they recorded a big double beat. Non-GAAP EPS came in at a gain of 26 cents per share, which topped estimates by an incredible 28 cents. Revenue managed to grow at an astounding 30.7% on a yearly basis, even in the midst of the pandemic. The company recorded revenue of $1.17 billion, which beat estimates by a nice $120 million. Investors love this news, as shares are up more than 10% after hours, even as the company gained nearly 13% during regular trading hours. Lastly, we have RPM International, ticker symbol RPM, which makes various coatings, ceilings, and building materials. RPM had pretty positive earnings this morning, as they had a double beat for the quarter. Non-GAAP EPS finished the quarter as a gain of $1.13 per share, which topped estimates by a respectable 14 cents. Revenue was down 8.8% on a yearly basis, but still came in at $1.46 billion for the quarter, and beat estimates but only by $60 million. Investors were very pleased with the strong quarter in the midst of the pandemic, and had shares end the day positive by 1.54%. Looking forward to tomorrow, we'll cover a lot of earnings. Some of the companies include 3M, McDonald's, Pfizer, AMD, Visa, and Starbucks. The Federal Reserve will also start their 2-day policy meeting. That is all that I have for you today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.